Welcome back to Cloud 42. I'm James, and today we have a fun little CNC project. We're going to make a face pin spanner wrench to fit the wheel arbor on the toolpost grinder. Now, technically this isn't a part of the toolpost grinder build series, even though the only reason we're doing it is for the toolpost grinder, or if you like, it's technically a part of the toolpost grinder build, even though it's not a part for the toolpost grinder. But either way, there's a link to the toolpost grinder build playlist down in the description. Let's go over to the mill, get set up, and get started. Okay, this is the material we're going to use to make the wrench. So it's going to be a little wrench, good hand size with a couple of pins and a little opening on the end. That should be pretty good. It's going to be 6 inches long, and this piece of stock is 6 1/4. First thing we need to do is just face off one side. And I want to be able to get at the whole thing. So I'm using the Talon grip jaws that we made in a previous video. Just going to drop this in here, press it down, and then get a nice grip on it. And we'll kind of bite in to make sure we've got it, and then release, and then take a nice light little snug into those dimples. That way it won't go anywhere, and we won't be pressing it and bowing it up so that the part ends up unflat. I don't know if that's a word. Okay, first thing I need to do, I'm setting up all of these so that my Z0 is on the bottom of the part for all of these setups, and the X and Y zero will just be in the center. So grab an edge finder and let's find those. Okay, the first tool is a face mill. Let's spin this up and take a facing cut. See how she does. Probably want to turn the spindle on. I love the finish that mill leaves. Okay, the next thing to do is just take this part out, flip it over, and we're going to face the other side and put some holes in it. I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to squeeze it hard enough to put some dents in it. And then I'm going to pull back and just take a nice gentle bite. Make sure we're not bowing it. Okay. We're still on tool 12, and we're going to take a facing cut on this side. Next tool is a spotting drill. We're going to spot all the holes before we drill them. Now I spotted these very gently. You notice that the feed was very slow and I just very lightly touched into that. And the reason I did that is because this particular mill has a little bit of flex in it because it's a small benchtop mill, and if you press too hard while spotting, it'll actually push away from the column as everything flexes. And I didn't want that to happen. I wanted them exactly where I wanted them. So I always spot very gently now. The actual drilling operation is not as sensitive. Okay, next tool is 101. This is a number 31 drill. And we're using the same strategy we used with the when making the tightening fixture for the tool post grinder. We're going to remove most of the material with a drill, the number 31, then we're going to come back with a 5/32 end mill and actually take them exactly to size and put them on position. The next tool is a 5/32 end mill, and we're going to go through and plunge these holes and clean them up. Now, just to be clear what's happening here, the wrench is laid in here this way. So these are the two pinholes for the spanner pins. And then this down here is going to be a larger hole that we're going to interpolate with the end mill that's like a hanging hook, so you can put it on a peg. And then these two are going to get opened up to the size of a 1032 screw so that we can put this on a fixture, hold it down, and we can mill the entire perimeter at once and finish out the wrench. There we are. We grab a 1032 screw and make sure these holes are going to fit. Oh, they are, and they're pretty tight. Oh yeah, that's going to be great. Okay, that's what I wanted. Okay, let me pop this out and change the setup, and I'll be back. Okay, this is the setup we're going to use to mill the perimeter of the wrench. I've got my mini pallet in here, and you can see I actually still have the Talon grip jaws in here, but I'm not using the grip cleats. I'm just using them as ordinary jaws. I've got the mini pallet in here, and those two screws, I interpolated those out to exactly 188 thousandths, which is exactly the major diameter of these 1032 screws that I happen to have for putting things down on my fixture plate. So hopefully this will stay put. And we need to center up on this thing and then come in and we're going to start by milling around the exterior. I've got an edge finder in here. Let me find the center. There it is. Okay, bozo check. We're about 6 1/4, and that looks like 3 1/2. Here we're 6 1/4 looks like 3 1/8. This is 1 1/2, and that looks like about 3/4. So that looks right to me. Now let's put in the first tool. It's a 3/8 inch 3-flute end mill. Spin this up and mill around the perimeter. Okay, that looks great. We went all the way around, didn't score up our mini pallet too much. There's just a little bit where the flex in the machine caused the edges of the tool to bite. The next one, I'm going to come around with a 1/4 inch end mill and clean up the edges, and that's going to bite a little bit deeper. And then this thing would be ready to go. Just knock the edges off, and you get a nice little wrench here. Put some pins in it, and it's ready to go. But I can't leave well enough alone. I want to play with it. So I'm also going to come back with that same 1/4 inch end mill, and I'm going to mill a little pocket in the face here, and I'm going to engrave some information about the tool and my name and the date in the bottom of it. So let me grab a 1/4 inch end mill and let's do that. Okay, that's the perimeter. Now it's going to cut a pocket. Okay, we've got our little pocket in there. And this pocket, when you get to next, we need to engrave some text in the bottom. Now, I actually left this pocket about 5 thou shallower than I want it to end up at the end because the engraving always raises a burr. So the idea is I'll come in here with the engraving tool, I'll engrave it, then come back with this same flat end mill and just shave off the top of it and leave a nice clean finish. At least that's the plan. We're going to see how that goes. Here's the engraving tool. This is a Single-Flute D-bit cutter, 45-degree angle. So 90-degree included angle. Let's put some text in this thing. Oh, that's beautiful. You know what? It didn't really raise a burr. I honed this tool nice and sharp before I did that, so it didn't really raise a burr. So this next step probably wasn't really necessary. But we'll go ahead and run it anyway. If only because it'll bring the text out to the correct depth. Okay, the last thing we need to do is put some chamfers on this side. I guess last thing we need to do on this side is put some chamfers on it. Okay, that looks great. Chamfer settled in there real nice. Okay, so I am going to now take this out, flip it over, and we're going to do the other side. Chamfer around, and we're going to do the pocket with the engraving also. See, how do we do on lining up the front and back? That looks pretty good. Is it perfect? Oh, probably not, but it's close enough. I'm really happy with that. The engraving is beautiful and it feels smooth, almost soft to the touch. Okay, let me get this out of here, get it over the bench, and let's put some pins in it and give it a shot. See how it works. Well, I am very, very pleased at how that turned out. See if I can turn it so you can read the engraving. Cloud 42, 2018, 5/32 by 1.1 inch. So 5/32 inch pins, 1.1 inch spacing. Here we got the same thing on the other side too. And I just could not be happier with how that turned out. The chamfers are a little deeper than I wanted, and the reason is because the drill that I use as a chamfer mill has a web, you know, it has a flat spot on the end, and I haven't programmed that into Fusion, so it doesn't know about it, and it always ends up, because the tip is wider, it ends up cutting down a little bit deeper. So let me grab some pins. These are the pins that are going to go into it, and these are identical to the pins that I made when I made the base for the, the tightening fixture. When I made this tightening fixture and put pins in it, in the last video, these are exactly the same pins. I just made 4 instead of 2, so I'd have them for this. So let's see. They should take a little bit of force to seat. Yeah, they do start, and then they get tight. Let's see about this other one. That one goes in, and it goes a little deeper before it gets tight. But those are going to be fine. Let me grab some Loctite. Now this is the Loctite 609 green retaining compound. So these should never come out. And you know, technically I could get them out if I wanted to, but I would have to heat it. Have this blue paper towel over my vise here because you couldn't read the engraving because everything was so shiny. Having the dark color to reflect helped. Okay, now I'm just going to use the vise to squeeze these in. All the way down till the bottom. That's both of those bottoms. Let me wipe off the excess. And there we have one pin face spanner wrench. Now the whole idea of doing this was to be able to put this in this flange. So let's give the whole system a try. Okay, so there's the base. And we'll drop in the arbor. Sits like that. Let me grab the wheel. Wheel goes on. Flange goes on. And then we use our new wrench to tighten it. Oh, that is beautiful. That works great. I could not be happier with that. Okay, so now we have all the tools we need. Put the wheel on the arbor, tighten it down. So now we can get it tight and run it safely on the tool post grinder. So the next step on the tool post grinder, I've got to decide what I'm going to do next. We need to set up some electronics, get that working. We need a wheel dresser, got to put that together, and we need to put a guard together so that if something happens to the wheel, if we crash it or if the wheel bursts, nobody gets hurt. And we'll continue working on that next time. If you're enjoying these videos, give me a thumbs up, leave me a comment below. Let me know what you like, let me know what you want to see more of. Thank you for watching.